All right. In your mind, since you think all these other, we're option 276, which I don't know why they would be visiting option 276.
Because Fred told them to. We went over this.
What is a scenario in your mind that Memphis gets an invitation?
Man, I think Colorado's a lock. I think that they are trying to pull Colorado in just to get that market. They've been there before. They have a previous relationship. Colorado has nothing in there. They have no business being in the Pac-12. I don't even know why.
I don't know that they are a lock, but go ahead.
I think there's a lot of situations. Obviously, they want Colorado and Arizona to go most, right? I think because of the grant rights, we talked about that.
Right. I haven't heard a whole lot about Arizona State and Utah. It's all Colorado. Really, it's all Colorado at this
It's
point.
Colorado, and Arizona's the other big one they're pushing for.
I mean, they're mentioning it, but I've told you a couple. I mean, the Arizona president came out last week and said his expectation basically is he thinks that the Pac-12 is staying together.
That's what you should say. I think as a smart man, you should.
Why
say
not just
that.
come out and say we're going to? I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to do what's best for us.
I think a lot of that is politics probably playing at hand too, because some schools just stick together. Arizona State, Arizona seems like they're going to stick together. No matter where one goes, I think the other's probably going to go. So it makes me think that Arizona's probably not going to take the jump, which leaves one opening because I obviously think that Colorado's going. And if they're trying to get to 16, I don't know how they're going to make that work because I don't think you take Colorado, San Diego State, Memphis, and UConn. Like we just talked about, the grant of rights, if you add a G5, it starts – you're not adding any revenue. You're just adding people to split that revenue and cut it down and water it down and dilute it.
So I do want to talk about
new
that
ones, that's bananas.
a little bit because you're referring to the pro rata clause.
Yes.
So the new deal for the Big 12 is split amongst ESPN and Fox. ESPN has roughly 63% of the funding for that new deal. Fox is the other 37%. The pro rata clause was only agreed to by ESPN. So that's not a full, you add a Power 5 school and the entire pot is growing. Yes, 63% of it is growing from ESPN's side. But I'm also curious as to when that clause takes effect because the new deal doesn't go into effect until 2025. So Houston, UCF, Cincy, BYU, they're getting a portion of the revenue for their first 2 years in the conference. So when does that clause actually, is it, to me, that's something that doesn't take an effect until the new deal has started. If you add a team after the deal has started, we're not renegotiating numbers.
Sure.
So is there a possibility that if this happens fast enough, in which I think that it is going to, I mean, I'm thinking we are going to hear something
At the end of this month.
before the end of the summer.
Yeah, I'd say as early
if you
as July.
add 4 teams this year, or extend the invitations this summer for them to join as quick as next year before the new deal takes place, does that give you time, or is there an ability to renegotiate the contract that you're under to say, hey, we've added these teams? What does that do for you guys?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think it's going to be a situation where they want to try to get this solidified, get all their teams in a row, and say, this is who we got, and then we'll just see what happens. Because I think if you add it after, I don't think that's changing anything, right?
I don't think that it would.
So in terms of Memphis's case, I think your best bet is Colorado says yes, Arizona says no, and then you get into a fist-fighting match between San Diego State, UConn, and Memphis.
So I could see a couple different scenarios. I think that they are increasing in size no matter what happens. Right?
But which number?
Right. It's how many are they going to invite and who exactly. I think minimum they're taking 4 teams. They want to get to 16 at a minimum. I mean, the more markets you have, you've talked about it, money-wise, like
yes,
the more, especially if they're able to renegotiate before the deal starts. If you get these teams in next summer in 24, you have a year to work out contract negotiations to kind of re-solidify those numbers to go into 25. I mean, the more teams you have, the larger pie that you're going to have. I think there's a couple different scenarios. So it's come out. The Pac-12 is obviously renegotiating their contract for their teams. The hope for them for most of those teams is that they have a good enough deal to keep the conference together.
Sure.
And then maybe they extend an invitation to SMU, San Diego State, whoever. They add a couple schools. To your point, say Colorado jumps ship and brings Arizona with them. I still think, based on what we've heard and my assumption of what Memphis brings, not assumption, my knowledge of what Memphis brings to the table, that even if it's Arizona and Colorado that Memphis is in, I think they add 4, and I think it's you and UConn at that point.
Yeah, if you can get, that's the problem is I don't know how dead set they are to get into 16. Because if you can add in Colorado and Arizona, you've already won. Why add anything else in to dilute that revenue?
I don't know that it's necessarily diluting it.
It is, depending on who you're getting. I mean, we just talked about the Memphis market was a mile down that list of number of TVs. You don't have the enrollment that compares to the other schools. You just don't physically compare to them, especially if you're taking it from the basketball side of things. If you're up against UConn or San Diego State, like they have better resumes. They just do. So I don't know what Memphis is in that comparison. Like, why are you making that face?
You're so negative.
I'm being honest here. You think this is fun for me to say?
I do. I think you have
think
fun
I
with
enjoy
it.
saying Memphis is at the bottom of this
You're smiling.
list?
I think you're having fun.
Because this is outlandish. Yeah, I'm just following numbers here. It doesn't look good for Memphis, and I'm tired of the Big 12 just teasing us.
I will say this. I'm as
us.
hopeful as I have ever been. Again, we've never
No,
made it
you're
this.
not.
I
No,
am.
you're not.
All we need
More
was
than 2016.
Yeah.
No.
2016, we weren't even included in the top.
Was it not
list
2016? Whatever it was, where they were like, I don't even remember who it. Yeah, all these teams like tell us why you get it.
Yeah, and then
Memphis was already on the list. They didn't even need to prove anything. They were already on the list.
And then they came out with the adjusted list and said, "Hey, we met with these teams. These are the top 10." And Rice and freaking Toledo were on the list. And Memphis, what? Toledo wasn't, but I know Rice was on the list.
Rice was definitely on the list,
and we weren't anymore. You know how gut wrenching that was.
Yeah, because we were. I was so confident
that you thought we were a lock already.
Yes, 100%.
No, I took it the other way. Like, what the hell's going on?
I was like, they're not even putting us on this list because we don't need to be on the list. We're already there. We're an understood team. I feel not good about this at all.
Do you remember back then when that graphic came out? It was like a clock that had all the Big 12 school logos on it, and Memphis was on there. And they're like, oh, this is going to be printed in the Tulsa newspaper next Monday because all the inviting. I guess I was hopeful, but I have said any movement is good for Memphis, and we are about to see movement, and I think that is good for Memphis.